It's Wednesday, 26th of April, 2023. In this evening's show, we are discussing last Tuesday's undeserved 2-0 home defeat to West Brom, the life support giving 1-0 win at Brum on Saturday, and we go through all the relegation permutations because, folks, it ain't over yet. I'm John Aspinall, this is the Seaside's podcast, extra time show. Inhale the hopium.
Small town from the north of England with a great tradition.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to Seaside's podcast on a Wednesday evening. Seems weird on a Wednesday. Fixtures all mixed up. As Richard Watts has said, inhaler at the ready. Tim, are you inhaling the hopium?
I think I need to start the show with a profuse apology, don't I, for holding everybody back for 30 minutes this evening.
And then that you might switch on.
20 to 8.
It's like Tim's like Axl Rose, just turns up when he wants. If anyone's been to a Guns N' Roses gig, 4 hours late.
So apologies, everybody, if you've been hanging around and waiting for an 8 p.m. start, only to find out it's not.
Well, Sakir, when you're going toe-to-toe with Rishi on a Wednesday as well,
This is it.
You've done well getting back from...
I've got to prep for P&Qs tomorrow, haven't I?
No, it's today.
Was it today? I thought it was normally Thursdays.
PMQs.
I got my days mixed up.
It's always Wednesdays, yeah.
All right.
Off.
That's why I don't do very well. I'm not going to win the election. I always turn up on the wrong day.
Got great hair, though, as always said. As Owen always said.
As Owen says, Owen was always a fan from the age 2.
Nick BFC Craig just said, is the Raggy Aid inhalable, asking for a friend?
Yes, I think Raggy will have some little canisters of it available at the Armfield Club pre-match on Friday.
Well, I've just had the gallon today, so I'm going to take over from the raggy, his ragginess.
Sir Raggy of Aid, he's unfortunately not available tonight to deliver one of his famous, rousing speeches.
I had somebody in our profession singing his praises today, saying he brings an extra dimension to the podcast. So there you go. So one of us might be getting our cards.
Won't be Andy. New signing. Did a sterling job on his debut.
Heard of last in, first out. We'll have to do a redundancy matrix to decide. But anyway, but it was good. It was good positive feedback, to be fair.
I had a bit of positive feedback from when I was out walking the dog yesterday on the fields at the back of where I live, which is apparently going to be the new training ground. Just there with the dog, and a chap comes walking at me towards me with another dog, smiling. He said, like, pointing at me, "It's you, isn't it?" I was like, "Yep, it's me. Yeah." I kind of guessed what he was on about. I had a quick chat with him, and he said, "Yeah, I love it. Watch every episode. When's the next one?" So I told him it was today. And his dog jumped up and went, "Well, get down, Jerry." And I said, "Jerry, because of..." And he went, "Yep, Jerry hates."
Did you not get his name? Just shout. Give him a
It
shout
was
out.
his name on air is Never Mind the Bollocks.
Oh, good stuff.
There he is. He's
there. He is. As if by magic, the bollocks appears.
He's got
Never
Jerry.
mind,
I've got Kenny Dougal. Kenny Dougal in our house. Romanian rescue dog.
We've
That
got
was Ollie. We had Ollie.
Yeah, you had Ollie. Rest in peace.
Yeah,
Tim's dog.
Okay, Ollie.
You had Mike Davis, the cat, John.
Still got him. He's still going.
Still going, Mike, is he?
Ginger cat named Mike. Anyone else? Yeah. Never mind. You were called Mike, weren't you? Sorry, terrible with names, but yeah, that was good. Yeah, slightly dimly for like chess.
Anyway, at least you'll be able to carry on dog walking around the back of your house for a few more years yet, won't you?
Carry on dogging.
Think of the positives.
Once a dogger, always a dogger. Hey, Tim.
So they say.
That's a whole different podcast. That is specialist. That's more specialist than bowls. Let's move on.
You get good viewing numbers though. Apparently,
Definitely not one for the bowls podcast, is it, Nick?
No.
Bought myself 2 new woods today, so yeah, we'll be there.
you're getting serious then, are you?
Oh yeah.
Your lessons next. You'll be having lessons, won't you? Down at Carlton Bowling Club.
Can only offer cricket coaching, John. I can't offer bowls coaching. So £40 an hour anytime you want it.
Is that much you charge?
Hey,
Is that much you charge? £40 an hour.
travelling expenses are very hard to come by.
Need to get into this coaching lark, Tim.
Oh. So he's on solicitor rates there.
Had a 0 on.
Yeah.
Right, should we get going? It's obviously been a while since the last pod. We've got West Brom to briefly catch up on. West Brom at home, Nick. It was billed as a must-win game. We didn't win, but we should have won, shouldn't we? 2 or 3 gilt-edged chances in the first half. What?
Yeah, Keshi had a good one.
Gone. He's having his problems
Rogers
again.
had a couple. I'm not with you
Turned
still.
into max headroom. Yeah, you broke up. What was that?
I was saying, yeah, we did. We had 3 very good chances in the first half.
Is that it?
Sorry, you guys are freezing now.
Right,
you're all
Tim.
doing max headroom to
Tim,
me.
did you go to West Brom?
I did, and as Nick was articulating, albeit in a parallel universe, we had some good chances, and I think the difficulty is sometimes when things aren't going your way, those let the rubs of the green go against you, don't they? And I think, as we're going to go on to discuss throughout this game, I think we were left with a perception of perhaps being a little bit cheated of a result that we really needed and we probably deserved. But we're all just, I know again I'll jump ahead, but it's so freaking frustrating that we were stuck with that dinosaur for as long as we were. Where we do the simple things, which is to play the right team or something akin to the right team, and attack the opposition, and all of a sudden we look like we can play football again. So, personally, bearing in mind the fact where West Brom were, I thought from the off, really, we gave a reasonably good account of ourselves. We went toe to toe with them, didn't we? And the fact that we're giving it a go, and that we're making teams who are playing us worry, is great to see, because we were going down with a proverbial whimper before. I actually heard this week, and I don't know whether it's right, but I was told that that McCarthy actually fell on his own sword and said, "It's not working for me. Give Dobby a go." And that's from pretty reliable source. So I'd be quite, if that's true, that as much as I'm still frustrated, at least he did the right thing, albeit perhaps not quite early enough, because I think if we'd been playing the football that we seem to be playing and started to play at the beginning of the West Brom game, we wouldn't be in this problem, or we wouldn't be as deep into this problem as we are. Let's put it that way.
Andy, over to you then. As Tim said, it's just incredibly frustrating that the dinosaur wasn't potted or walked a lot earlier, because we've gone toe-to-toe with West Brom. We should have won the game. I know a lot of people don't like the stats, but we did have a much higher XG. We don't need to tell you about XG figures to know that we had the better chances. We should have won the game. Against Luton, we went toe-to-toe with them, all right. We probably ran out of steam a bit in that game. But the fact that we've matched and we've attacked these teams, top teams as well, just does go to show that it's incredibly frustrating that action wasn't taken sooner. And I think I agree with Tim also that we wouldn't be in this mire now
We can't.
had he been known
The
apart.
thing is, right, when you're operating on our budget that we operate on, as we've found out before, when you're in one of the two probably worst budgets in the league, you have to be brave. You've got to be brave to take this league on. And as we found out in the Premier League, along the way, you might take a couple of hammerings along all the way, but be brave and have the courage of your own conviction and at least play in a positive way and believe that you're going to get a result. And I think Dobbies starting to instill that into these guys that they can get a result. You know, might need a couple of kicks off the line. It might need an absolutely magnificent block from somebody. It might need the substitutions at the right time to take tiring players off. But if we start off in a positive, I think at home, at home, an early goal is crucial because then it gets the fans up and then we know we've got something to hang on to at least then, and we don't lose our momentum. And I think Dobby's really doing all the right things with us as a group of fans, and we're starting to believe in him. And just like I said Dobby before McCarthy came, and I really believe that because he knew the club, because he knew that positivity breeds positivity, and that he'd have half a chance. I was bawled out by a few people saying inexperience, but where do these guys get the experience? They've got to manage games of football.
Done all right without a lot of experience, hasn't he? 45 million quid helps.
Yeah, okay. He went to Anderlecht. He went to Anderlecht and made. Not, he probably wasn't great at Anderlecht, but he learned. But he's had a big budget for this league, to be fair. And I think though that sometimes it's the right person at the right time. Holloway was the right person with the right group of players, and Dobby is probably the right person at the right time. But he needed 6 or 7 more games, didn't he? And
I think what I've heard as well from the same source is that the training's become a lot more technical since Dobby took over, and the players are absolutely loving it because it's interesting and they can see what he's trying to do, and they can see that there's. I'm elaborating here when I say they can see these patterns of play and whatever, but most certainly there was that the person I spoke to said. He's really got the players on side, and he clearly knows what he's doing. And I genuinely don't think McCarthy knew what he was doing at our club. I don't think he knew the players. Don't think he knew what system to play, and he was just trying to get the proverbial tune out of our players, wasn't he?
Can you remember me saying to you, John? Not long after McCarthy took over, I said to you when we were in the Phoenix Knights Club or whatever we call it these days, and we're in there, and I said to you, I want to go to the training ground.
Yeah, I remember.
And I want to tell him what these players can do, what the certain players can do, and what positions they're good in, and what position, because we all knew. And the frustration thing was McCarthy had to pick that up from scratch and didn't have a clue. And it was hard work, wasn't it? It was a hard watch.
It probably cost us 5 or 6 points, I think. Yeah. During that period where he was literally just winging it and trying different players in different positions and almost inevitably getting it wrong in the process by at least 2 or 3 positions. And we can't afford it. We can't afford not to have the right players in the right positions because we're up against it anyway. So it's fine margins sometimes. And the games we lost because we didn't, you go back to cancelling that Huddersfield game, which I'm sure we did just to give him more time with the players. We were on a bit of form there, and that was the worst thing we could have. And they weren't. That was the worst thing we could have done. And not really going out to win that game or the Rotherham game was criminal, because we knew they were the games we had to win, and we didn't really do that. We tried to avoid losing, as we did in with a lot of games, and I think we'll look back on this season if we don't. I'm going to have another sip of Raggy in a minute, but if we don't get over the line, and it's going to be incredible if we do. But if we don't, I think we're going to look back on a few of those games and really rue the fact that we wasted the opportunities, and we did waste them. We wasted probably 3 or 4 opportunities to put ourselves in a far better position.
Do you know who I blame, Tim? It's just thoughts just come into my head. Sean McGinley.
It's about time Sean
He
took
knew.
some. He knew, didn't he?
He knew. He knew the players. He knew who was good. He knew who was bad. He works for the club.
He had all the XG stats.
He had all the XG. Why wasn't he in the ear of McCarthy?
I can
Get him out.
just imagine McCarthy's reaction to Sean telling him about XG. Fuck off.
Who the effing hell do you think you are, lad?
Yeah.
XG? Am I hearing this right?
Yeah, but
No,
we get
no,
one.
I
We
can-
get
I
we get one of the
bloody
we get
well
one of the podcasts on the inside, and then he fails to deliver. It's
Exactly.
incredibly disappointing.
Yeah.
Just going back to the West Brom game,
Sorry,
John,
Nick, go
I thought, Keshi getting injured, I think, was a turning point as well, because he was, doing really well in midfield, getting on the ball, on the front foot. And you saw when he went down, I just said to Dougie was with me. If he goes off, I think we're knackered, because he's made such a difference. He's getting fitter and fitter. He's so comfortable on the ball, and it's what we've talked about this many times, haven't we, on the pod, about the midfield battle. And he's just someone who is comfortable on the ball, can run with it, can create chances, can make things happen, and it just makes all the difference. It unlocks everything, doesn't it? And with him getting injured, it was just a bit of a second half. Are we gonna have enough? And unfortunately, we just didn't.
I think him going off at that point was just indicative of the season as a whole, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It's just been one thing after another. But, because Tim said, Tim and Andy have just said it was avoidable. Had decisions been made about the managers earlier, twice.
Yeah, and I'd agree with Tim, particularly those home games where they're entirely winnable, and we go out not to get beat, and we're not good enough to be sitting back and trying to defend for 60, 70 minutes and sneak a 1-0 from a set piece, because we're pretty poor on those, let's be honest. And yeah, a little bit of attack in the tent, it makes all the difference. And what Dobby's doing, let's be honest, it isn't rocket science, isn't it? There's a lot of fans have been saying the same thing. Just go for it, get attacking players on the pitch.
So, Tim, after the game, we all kind of trudged out, and I think there was a sense of resignation amongst the fan base that was it. We were done. We were down.
Yeah, I think the fans are giving great support during that game. I don't want to leave the game without mentioning that, because there was an incredible level of support, even when we went 2-0 down. The fans, basically raised the voices again, didn't they? And even their keeper acknowledged it, both at the time and at the end of the game. And I think we tried to do our bit, and it was just very frustrating that the dice just fall the wrong for us. Both with it, as we've said, with injuries, and as we've said with lack of opportunities. And I think most of us were resigned at that point, weren't we? I couldn't see us realistically going to Birmingham, getting a result, and that neatly segues us
on to Birmingham. That's West Brom, isn't it? Sorry. Yeah, on to Birmingham away. Quite a weird one. I'll try and talk as I bring up the new team sheet.
I was going to go to Birmingham if we won on Tuesday night, but I think it took your wind out your sails, didn't it?
I think everyone did. And Tim, there was a amongst pretty much every Blackpool fan I know and I'm friends with, there was very much a general malaise towards this game, which I've not seen amongst the fan base and the people I know in a long, long time, in the fact that no one could even be arsed watching it, myself and Nick included. Ben, who goes to the footy with, and were you particularly bothered about catching up with the game?
I watched it. I won't incriminate myself by saying how and where, but I did watch the game, and but I was close not to doing. I was ambivalent. Ambivalent, I think, is the expression. Where I could just, it was just a fact. I ended up being home in the afternoon, and my missus had gone out for a couple of drinks with my daughter. I think that was the day, and I was there, and like my lad was up and didn't even really watch it. He was upstairs, YouTube, whatever he was on. So where he would normally be avidly watching it. So there's definitely the malaise was felt in Fielding Towers. And if I'd been I think I was a bit under the weather. And if I hadn't been under the weather, I'd have probably bogged off out somewhere and got on my bike or something like that.
Well, I was obviously managing the kids team in the morning, and we went to the Elk to get some breakfast, and I was sat with Ben, one of the other dads, and he said, we were going to go back to someone's house and watch it. And he said, should we just stay out and go out on the piss instead? And I said, the missus can take the kids. We'll stay out for a few beers. It was nice there. I said, yeah, no point as they're going to watch it. So, we went for a bit of a crawl down Polton, ended up in the top of the thatched. And guess who spotted us on the rooftop garden of the thatched and joined us for a pint, just randomly in Polton? That chap below me there, didn't you, Nick? He just appeared like, Mr. Ben when the shopkeeper appears out of nowhere. Nick just appeared at the top of the roof garden.
I was getting some brownie points in because I'm doing Norwich. We've got 4 nights there, so I thought I'll go out for a few drinks with my better half, and we've been for something to eat. And I said, I'll go to the Thatch for one, and making our way through St Chad's, and I was like, hey up, look who's had the same idea. So yeah, went for a couple more pints before we headed home.
There might have been a mobile phone safely ensconced on the top of a plant pot that might have been showing a stream of the game, Nick. So it was quite a pleasant place to observe a game, wasn't it?
Well, you'll be pleased to know, everyone, I even managed to do a Smith when I wasn't watching the game, because I went to the bar and came back and Mr. Poveda had notched. So some things never change.
So yeah, if anyone was in the Polton vicinity around that time and heard a big roar coming from the top of the rooftop garden, that's your explanation. Andy, did you catch the game, or did you make any beelines to try and watch the game or listen to it or anything? Or did you...
I was sunning myself on the Wirral watching a game of cricket and catching up with it, watching bits on my phones, and I did a Smith as well, and managed to turn my phone off and then turn it back on 5 minutes later, and we're 1-0 up. So, frantically trying to get a clip of the goal, but you knew Poveda was going to get injured once he'd scored, because we hate having people scoring goals.
He nearly got injured directly after he scored, didn't he? Slipped over in the turf.
He did, yeah.
Imagine if he'd have rolled his ankle.
Did Thorniley go off injured as well?
Don't know. He did go off later. Well, Poveda came on a sub, didn't he, and then got subbed off.
Yeah.
So
That's right.
Right, Tim, let's come to the team. Great to see Grimmy back. Gabriel, Nelson, Thorniley and Lyons at the back. You're the much vaunted fullback pairing that you particularly were chomping at the bit for multiple times throughout the dinosaurs' reign in the Jurassic period. Fiorini, Carey, Patino, Bowler, Hamilton and Rogers. On the bench, Maxwell, Husband, Connolly, Tribal, Rob Apter, Poveda and Brad Holmes. Firstly, obviously great to see Grimmy back. Great to see the dual forces on the wings of Gabriel and Lyons.
I do think, actually, I do think Andy Lyons isn't quite as good at left back as he is right back. I do think that, but I think when we've got as many players out as we have, I think it's the best combination. I think it's the strongest combination, and I think it's the one that gives us the most attacking threat from the wings that we can get with this system. So I'm really glad to see it. I'm really glad to seeing it working, because you never, you listen, we spout our stuff on here and we think we've got a rough idea of what's right and what might work, but it's good to see that it actually does, and we'd rather than just theorize about it. And I think we'll see, injuries permitting. I think we'll see that on a regular basis. Well, say regular basis. We've got 2 games left, haven't we? For the rest of the season, I think that will be the settled back 2 fullback positions, which is and we do need a bit of consistency as well. I think with McCarthy, we got. Who can play CJ at left back? It's just ridiculous. So, we're going to see this look like we're starting to see a slightly more settled team, most certainly on a defensive basis, at least. So go on, carry on, John. Sorry, I interrupted you.
Well, I was also saying, if you look at the bench there, obviously good to see Tom Tribal back. He could be pivotal in the final 2 games, but it's also good to see their youth finally been given a chance. Your boy, Brad Holmes, again involved, and Rob Apter as well, who's definitely one for the future.
Fantastic, isn't it? I mean, obviously Brad we didn't mention it before, we got a cameo on Tuesday night, didn't he? And I think the one thing I perhaps noticed about, and I saw him at Burnley, not Burnley, I saw him at the Knobbers, and he said hello as he walks down the stairs. And what I've noticed is he's filled out quite a bit as Brad. Clearly, he's been in his dad's gym, and he looks like he's bulked up a little bit. And I think that will stand him in good stead, because he's quite a big lad anyway. I mean, he's 6 foot. I don't know, 6'1". No, I don't think he's 6'2". He might be 6'1".
He's a unit. I noticed he was a unit.
Yeah, but he looks like a centre forward now for me.
I'll tell you, he looks like build wise. He looks a bit like Big Gaz.
Yeah. He's got a physique on him.
Oh,
he's an athlete. He always was an athlete, right, from being 6 and 7 when he was galloping down the wing and basically unstoppable then. And he was always an athlete, and he'd run all day. But great to see him just look like he's got a bit more of a physical presence. And I thought he put himself about a bit on Tuesday night, to be fair.
Okay, Nick, over to you. Your thoughts on the lineup?
I was a little bit worried about the midfield, whether we'd whether it was a bit lightweight and we might get out-fought or out-muscled as we have done a few times this season. And I've only seen highlights and sort of read reports, and by all accounts, the first half was one to forget. It was a bit of a massive scramble, wasn't there, at our end, where Grimmy's made a couple of saves. There was bodies thrown on the line, and you're wondering how it hasn't gone in the back of the net. But thankfully it didn't, and that's the bit of luck we need. And, we don't need to necessarily at this stage of the season be dominating teams and creating a dozen chances. Away from home particularly, it can just be a little bit of luck, which for once went our way with the goal, with the mistake that they made trying to play out from the back, and we've pounced on it. But again, I think you make your own luck a bit as well. We've been on the front foot at least. He's made a positive substitution in putting Poveda on, and it's paid off. So however it happens, you take it at this stage of the season, don't you? And like you said at the start, it ain't over yet. We're still in with a chance, and keep taking the raggy aid. And
we've always done the best away from home last year and this year when we've pressed, and never mind it away from home, at home as well. And what we've seen under Dobbies, we've started to see the return of the press, haven't we? And that's how that goal comes. That goal comes because we are not giving their defence any time on the ball. Now, again, I don't want it to turn into bloody McCarthy slagging session.
No, let's.
We were sitting off too much. We were sitting off and letting teams play, and And as Andy said before, you've got to be brave and you've got to go at teams. You can't sit back and try and play for a draw. It's bollocks. It's crap to watch. Anyway, I'd rather go down, play attractive football than stay in that league and just play some defensive, game which is based on percentages that you might every now and again steal a draw away from home. It's anti-football.
Well, the thing is, we don't score that goal if McCarthy's still manager, do we? Because, like I say, one, we're not pressing, and two, Poveda's not on the pitch.
There's a few things for me. I think if you look what happened before Lyons signed for us, I think when he played on the left, he was probably better at wing back than full back. So that might be one thing that we look at, and it might be a point where Tim, he probably is a right back, but a left wing back, if that makes sense. And he might be not such quite a good a defender on the left hand side, but needs must at the minute. He's probably our best option there in a brave formation. And we've got to make a space for Gabriel to be on that pitch, because he's capable of going on a run and creating something.
Interesting what John's comment there, the Birmingham fan in the room.
Do you want to just read it out, Tim? Just for
he says, saw a different game to me. We were all saying in the stadium, obviously this is the home fans, we were amazed that you didn't press. We're passive all game. I mean, John, all I can say is we were pressing a lot more than we have been doing.
Yeah.
It was a low bar, John.
It's John's obviously doesn't watch us every week. That's all I can say. We really seriously, we just knock $1 million comparative. I know this isn't great, by the way, what's going on at the minute. We're not great. We're just a million miles on from it was under McCarthy. And you're going into the last two games and you're actually feeling like, do you know what? It's highly unlikely, but we've got a chance, right? With McCarthy, I'd be just sitting here. Well, we're down now, aren't we? And as I said in the last time I was on, I was Appleton out, absolutely hand on heart, Appleton out all the way, right? But we didn't get what we wanted with McCarthy, did we? And we should have read it a lot sooner than we did. And Dobby really should have had 10 games at least. You could tell at Huddersfield, couldn't you? When that ball went up in the air, them to us and them to us about 10 times, and you just thought, why bother? It's just like, this is awful.
That was abysmal, wasn't it?
Oh, it was terrible. It was terrible. And you could tell then that you might as well pack up. We were all hoping McCarthy was going to be the one, to save us out of experience, but we got the wrong one of the dinosaurs, didn't we? We Warnock's done a far better job with Huddersfield than McCarthy did with us. And I can't think that they've got a better squad than us or whatever. It's very similar. I speak to a Huddersfield fan regular, and they're no better than us. It's just that Warnock's a better organiser than McCarthy.
Wasn't it?
Yeah, I was just going to say a comment from Mark GT there that just mentions Kenny Dougal. Is this the end for Kenny D? Because he hasn't really featured with Dobby, has he? I don't think he's even made the bench, has he?
No.
Certainly for a couple of them. So it's an interesting one, isn't it? Because he doesn't seem to fancy him.
I think a lot of these players will depend on what league we're in next year. I think Dougal is a very, very good League One player, but he may have had his day as a Championship midfield player. I don't know, but clearly it doesn't fit into the system, because if you've got to play the best players, at the moment. He's not in it, is he? And that's from the life president of his fan club. So he isn't. And neither's Connolly. Neither of them are getting in it.
No. I wouldn't mind if Tribal, we could, I think he might possibly have a part to play. I think they played friendly early in the week, didn't they? Just to give some of them some game time, because I think he's got something about him. And, I was saying before, when we look a little bit lightweight in midfield, it's great you're playing these attacking players, but maybe you do need that one. And he's maybe got a bit more quality on the ball than Connolly and Kenny, and might just get a few minutes in the last couple of games.
When was the last time he played Tribal? He was only
January, was it?
Get him 20 minutes, beat Millwall, and it's set up for his return to Norwich, where he's going to bring it home. That's where he was very highly regarded by the Norwich fans.
Yeah, he did well for them, didn't he?
He's a specialist in that position, though, isn't he? And that's the difference. Connolly has never been a specialist in that position. Dougal's not a specialist in that position. And like you hope the coaches could coach them how to play that position. But like ultimately, Stuart, Bridcut and particularly Bridcut and Tribal are absolute specialists in that position. And it's a hard skill to break play up. It's a real hard skill to do, and to screen the back four and stop little, people in the past were horrible. Like people like Neil Lennon and people like that, they were horrible, but they just broke play up. They got a little toe in, little tackle in, shoulder in, anything just to break the play, and then those Bridcut and Tribal have got that, and we've really missed that, haven't we? Let's be fair.
I think Connolly for me has been appalling last few games. I think Nicky's re-inherited his leggy lower League One donkey tag after those last few performances.
And one of our highest paid players, by the way.
Is he? Really?
Yeah, and I think we've been over this many times, haven't we? About if we had that quality in the middle, and if you've got Carey or Patino in there, you're asking really kids to do a men's job and a side of the game that they've not got that physicality, have they? And you want them to be able to do what they're good at, and have somebody in there like Andy's just said, who does all the horrible stuff and breaks up the play, gets it and gives it, and it can be the difference between dominating a midfield and getting overrun, and which has happened, many times this season.
It could help Patino's game as well, having Tribal in with him, experienced head, and
massively.
Yeah, doing the kind of the dirty work, and that's their job, isn't it? A CDM, do what Andy's mentioned, give it to Patino, give it to Fiorini. They're the type of guys who are going to unlock defences, aren't they?
Yeah.
So, the game itself, Tim, not a lot to write home about from the extended highlights that I've watched. Second half, first half. I don't know if there's anyone. Did you see the extended highlights? Grimmy nearly throwing one into his own net.
Oh no, I was thought Maxwell was back in the goals for a second. It was.
We'd have had egg on our faces had that had occurred.
I know. He did manage to claw himself back into avoiding that embarrassment. But it was. It was a game. Listen, John, the Birmingham fan said that it wasn't a great game by any stretch of the imagination, and it was played between two relatively poor teams. I thought they were awful. And it was good to see that we could get the right side of it. Probably the standout highlight for me all game was the goal line clearance, which seemed to last about 5 minutes. The passage of play that saw us defend in a way that was great to watch. Really, it was great to see that never say die attitude from probably about 3 or 4 of that defensive back 5, including the keeper, and quite how we kept it out, I don't know, but I think there was a passage where Grimmy pulled off a save at the front post, and then it gets moved. It gets pushed over to the far side, and they have another shot that's cleared, and they have another shot that looked like it was going in all the way. And I think it was Jude who pulled it out from right under the crossbar. Incredible. Love watching stuff like that. As an ex-defender, I probably enjoy stuff like that more than a goal.
Did you just say Jude then?
Yeah.
I said Jude. Judd.
I did.
Do you mean Judd?
Well, yeah, that's the same thing, isn't it?
Is it because they've got Jude Bellingham's brother playing?
Might be something to do. Bloody hell, he's like his double, isn't he?
I thought it was him. He's an absolute unit, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it looks like he's going to be an incredible player because I think he's only about 16, isn't he? 17.
Wow.
But like I said earlier, if you're gonna win games in this league, that's the sort of defending that we have to do. We have to. We're not going to go through a game and the opposition not have chances. So we've just got to find a way of stopping it. Whether we stop the cross, whether we get a block in from the centre of the goal, whether we're diving in front, getting our head on it, getting our knee on it, whatever it would be, get something in front of the ball. And maybe we've just not been desperate enough before. And I think it frustrates me when you're not desperate enough to stop a cross and things like this. And like the Knobbers when that cross went in that they scored from, and Kenny's dangled a leg. Like, dive in front of it. If it hits you in the bloody nuts, it don't matter, does it? Just stop it.
I think that comes from belief in the manager as well, doesn't it? And I think you could see under McCarthy
fighting together.
There was no spirit, and under Dobby, they look like they want to run through a brick wall for him so far, and that's that's what you want to see.
Yeah, it's a good shout, Nick.
Yeah. And we have to have our goalkeeper playing well every week, really. He has to. He's going to have to make 2 or 3 saves every week. If we're going to beat Millwall, they are going to have chances, come what may. So we've just got to stop them.
Tim, first win on the road since Coventry away in October, if you can believe that.
I was there as it happened.
Yep, we were all there, weren't we?
And it was a great, probably my favourite way, well, not just for the result, but favourite way day of the season. Trained down and a few beers around the town and stuff like that. So it was it seems like a lifetime ago. It was before the World Cup break. It was before the players started getting ill.
Do you remember how warm it was as well for October?
It was it sort of seems so long ago. And of course we played Preston the week before and dick them at home. So we were on a bit of a roll at the time. I think if anybody had suggested at that point that we would be second bottom by Christmas or even the break, it was because we went on that awful run afterwards, starting with the West Brom away. And
we went to that as well, didn't we?
We did. We did.
There's no way in a million years I am going to a midweek game away at West Brom. But I was so bigged up and hyped up by those 2 performances.
And don't forget, they were bottom that night when we went there.
Yeah.
And
they were awful.
Game,
we were awful. We were absolutely woeful. And then we nearly scrambled a 0-0 and conceded right at the last minute or last couple of minutes from a corner, didn't we? Same as we did against West Brom at home. Just farcical. It was awful. It was the most deflating journey home as well, wasn't it?
It was the longest journey home.
Oh.
It was all right once you got out of West Brom. It was just that bit of getting out of West Brom.
It took about an hour to get out of West Brom, didn't it?
Yeah.
Right. Let's move on to Millwall. Firstly, are we going to win?
Yes.
Of course we are.
Front of Sky cameras, what could possibly go wrong?
Like Raggy said, it's playoffs now, isn't it? And we do well in playoffs. So, we're still in with a chance, aren't we? And that's all we can ask for. And I mean, I don't know. I've not seen any injury updates, but whether Jerry and Keshi will be okay.
What was going on with Poveda going off? Because he came on as a sub and then went off again.
Hammy.
What's the word there? Andy?
I mean, it might only be a
Hammy.
little one. Is
Could
it
be
more
cramp.
preventative?
Ridiculously.
Yeah, but I mean, Jerry, although I believe Morgan Rogers had a decent game against Birmingham, but still think we need Jerry up front for Friday.
Let's have a quick look at the form. Millwall not on a great run.
No.
Lost to Wigan 2-1. Lost to Birmingham City 1-0. Beat the Dobbies 2-0. That's an easy game for them. Lost to Hull away. Drawn with Luton. So if you look at that, we're kind of technically we're the informed team compared to them. So it could be a very edgy game for them, Tim, because I think we've been in that position before where we've seen it where teams are playing with a lot of nervousness when they've been in the top six a lot all season, and then they're on the on the verge of dropping out of the top six.
Yeah,
And
it
it
looks
kind of makes you
encouraging,
play
doesn't it?
in
Those
yourself,
stats.
doesn't it?
But obviously, what do they say about stats? And
So they're seventh. So
aren't they bringing? Haven't they got the whole of the East?
Have they?
Or am I dreaming? Did they not give them
No.
the whole of the East before they changed the policy?
Millwall, I don't think so. No,
Oh, good. I can't. I had it in my head that they were bringing a load up to our
you
place.
might be right. I've not seen anything, but I don't know. Maybe shifting it to the Friday will knock a few off, won't it?
I would have thought so. Particularly it's on Sky. They're not going to fill that East. If we look at the table there, they're in 7th on 65 points. Equal on points with Sunderland, who are also on 65. Coventry 66, just above them. So this, with the volume of teams that are below them, just below, all the way down to Swansea in 12th there, you'd like to think this is a must-win game for them as well. It's definitely for us.
Which is what we didn't want, really.
It's amazing how many teams are still in with a shout, isn't it? I was looking yesterday, and it's something like, I think there's only something like 5 teams with nothing to play for, for either end of the table. Everyone else has still got something to play for. It's absolutely crazy. But yeah, it's a must-win for them, isn't it, to keep in touch for the playoffs and take it to the final game. So, like you say, John, I think it's going to be a nail biter.
I presume we're all going. Not working, are you, Andy?
no chance. My finish on Friday evening at 8 o'clock was miraculously changed to a 3 o'clock finish. Miraculously. I don't know who does the rota, but
Andy, I believe you work in a golf club around the Bolton area, and you had some extra special guests going for a round of golf today.
I did. Can't tell you what went in the coffee, but it wasn't pleasant.
On Blackadder when Baldrick makes the coffee and the food. I don't know if anyone's seen that.
Mr. Potts came to. Mr. Potts came to pay a visit along with the 11 Nobber friends today. Yeah.
That's something you don't want on your work day, isn't it? A bunch of knobbers coming.
I would always have a warm welcome for anyone except them. Yeah. So my welcome wasn't particularly hostile.
Hospitable.
But it wasn't hospitable. Yeah.
Given you work in hospitality, I hope you didn't give him a very hospitable welcome.
Not a hope. I think we might have a few of our lads over at some point in the next week or so. So they next week maybe. So
just as an aside, then, isn't it great seeing them doing what Preston do, going on a nice little run just before the end of the season, getting the hopes up, and once again having them
doing their devil
cruelly on the.
They're still full of hope, and they're
still in with a shout, aren't they? And they've got. I think they have Sunderland last game at their place. To work with a knobber, and we were talking about it today. And there's so many teams playing each other in and around, like bottom end of the table. I think Huddersfield and Reading play each other on the last day. you know, it's going to be crazy at both ends. But the interesting comment from John there in the chat, the Birmingham fan who said they played Millwall recently and they absolutely pepper your goal from set pieces.
Well, we've had just having a disaster here, by the way.
That's a bit of a worry.
We're having a bit of disaster here because Sheffield United played them on Saturday, and Sheffield United had just beaten West Brom 1-0, so that will mean they're promoted.
So they'll be doing it Burnley then.
Sheffield United would be promoted tonight if they win that game.
And who they playing, Andy? Sorry.
They've got to play the Dobbies on Saturday.
Right.
After a celebration.
Well, they're saying part of the Huddersfield have got Sheffield United, haven't they, next week? And again, if they're promoted, are they going to be pushing as hard as they could do? You know, we've seen it with Burnley, haven't we? Burnley have taken the foot off the accelerator since they got over the line, and the concern is that they're already on the beach, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I was hoping really a West Brom win tonight, and number one do the knobbers in and would make Sheffield United try even harder on Saturday, but that's going out the window at the minute.
Okay,
it is what it is.
Let's move on to the relegation run-in then. If you look to the graphic there, I don't know if people can see that. Make it a bit bigger myself. Wigan, do we need to worry about Wigan?
No.
Okay.
Because if we're going to stay up, we're going to have to get 6 points.
Correct.
Yeah.
And if we get 6 points, then we're above them.
Yeah, that's right. So let's forget them. Reading have got... That's a massive game. Reading versus
games.
Wigan. And then Huddersfield away, blimey. Yeah. Obviously, we know we've got Millwall away and then Norwich. Sorry, Millwall at home, Norwich away. QPR, I think if we win, we overtake them. If they lose, because we've got a better goal difference.
So frustrating that they beat Burnley on Saturday, wasn't it? When you look at the stats, I think Burnley had 20 shots to their 4 and about 80% possession and contrived to lose the game 2-1.
I think people who were saying Burnley were on the beach there, I don't think that's true, really.
Not based on those stats. It wasn't. They were all over them.
Yeah. It's just typical, though, isn't it?
Yeah, and if they'd been 3 behind, that I'd have really fancied us catching them. Really fancied us catching them. So that I have a horrible feeling that's the one that's going to put the nail in our coffin. That result on Saturday. I
think QPR are probably going to get a point from those 2 games, aren't they? Let's move on to Huddersfield. Cardiff away, Sheffield United at home, and then Reading at home. I'd like to think Sheffield United would still do a job, given it's a Sheffield derby, even if they're up. I think the Cardiff game's obviously pivotal. Sorry, Yorkshire derby. Yeah.
Well, we are in a conundrum about what we want to see happen as between Reading and Huddersfield, aren't we? Do we want a draw from that one, or do we want one to win and drag the other one down? I don't know, really.
There's a few different permutations, isn't there?
I'd probably say a draw there, Tim.
Huddersfield are 44, aren't they? So, they would get, if they get to 47, but we'd have to score a couple of goals in each of the games and drag the goal difference back. But if Huddersfield lost 2 out those 3, pretty much, and we win 2,
it's going to level out the goal difference, that, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think
QPR are gone, aren't they?
I think QPR are away from us. I think our best chance is Cardiff, overtaking Cardiff and Reading. But they're only playing Wigan. But Wigan have hit a bit of form as well. So
we want Wigan to win on Saturday if we win.
I'd say so, yeah, Andy.
If we win, we want them to win. And then 100%. We want some of the other games to go, away. It's they're in the same pickle as us on Wigan on goal difference. So
we could do it. We want Cardiff to win the next 2, don't we? We want Cardiff to beat Rotherham. Because I don't think we can't really catch Cardiff.
No, we want Rotherham to beat Cardiff.
Do we?
I think Rotherham.
Rotherham to beat Cardiff. Yeah.
Yeah.
But then we've got Huddersfield playing Cardiff, so we.
Which could be a draw.
I think realistically we can overtake Reading and
We
Cardiff.
can't. I don't think we can overtake Cardiff unless they lost. We can't overtake Cardiff unless they lose all 3 games.
They're going to lose to
So
Burnley.
maybe Cardiff.
That's why I was thinking that my gut reaction without looking at the table in front of me was that we actually want Cardiff to beat Rotherham and
Cardiff are on 46, we're on 41, so they ain't, they need to pick up
1 point out of the last 3.
What's the goal difference, Nick? So what's Cardiff's goal difference?
minus 14, we're minus 24.
Shite.
So at Cardiff, you probably want out of it. It's Huddersfield and Reading.
And they've also, if Cardiff then do win the games against Rotherham, and they then lose to Middlesbrough, they're going into the last game against Wigan. And if they lost that, then we can catch them as well. Yeah? What Rotherham on?
Rotherham are 46 with a minus 11.
Yeah, but the point being is if they lost all 3, if Wigan beat them at home, which is a good possibility, then and we're not bothered about Wigan because Wigan are behind us, then we can overtake Rotherham as well because we can get to 47. And Rotherham have got, that's why I said I think we want Cardiff to have a rich vein of form to finish with.
Yeah. If Cardiff can win against the teams at the bottom, then that's fine to me. Or if Rotherham beat Cardiff, and then Cardiff, I don't mind Cardiff beating. It is Huddersfield. Cardiff.
And we could, and if QPR are quite capable of losing the last 2 games, aren't they?
It's that Burnley result that's done us.
Yeah, but if we win 2 and they lose both of theirs, then we're above them as well.
Yeah, if you put QPR on 44, then it looks completely different, doesn't it? We've got half a chance. But whatever, Friday, you've got to go one game at a time, haven't you?
Yeah,
the old cliche. But we have to win on Friday night, and if we win on Friday night, then it puts the others under pressure, doesn't it?
Yeah, and listen, if we can go to Norwich with an outside chance of staying up, that's an incredible feat to have pulled off. Bear in mind where we were after we lost to Cardiff at home, when we were dead and buried.
And we're not going to be anything but brave in that situation, are we? We're going to go there and give it a go. But I honestly think the first 15 minutes on Friday night are so important. If we get a goal in the first 15 minutes on Friday night, I think
the roof.
The roof could come off, and then you're really it's an amazing atmosphere, isn't it? At home when we're all up, the whole stadium's up, and if a goal in the first 15 minutes, it's all right for us sitting here going, "Oh, we all need to be up. We all need to be up. We all need to be up." But sometimes, and a lot of times, it just needs that little bit on the pitch to make you scream a bit louder and sing a bit louder and things like that, and get the West going. And when the West are going, the flasks start twirling around their heads, and the tartan blankets get thrown on the floor as they're jumping around. Yeah, and that's when you really know the stadium's up then.
Okay, let's pick a team to win this game then. As Andy said, one game at a time. Let's pick a team to beat Millwall.
Well, I think we're all in agreement on the keeper, aren't we?
Yeah, Chris Maxwell's obviously in there. Grimmy. Grimmy goes in.
And probably the back 4 as well.
I think the back 4 picks itself. Is everyone in agreement there?
100%.
Gabriel, right back. Lyons, left.
Assuming Thorniley's
Yeah.
fit.
Hope and pray that Thorniley's fit.
It could be key.
Although Marv was
Marv
playing the game on Monday.
Played in the game, didn't he, earlier on this week?
Yeah. But might be too soon, we'll see.
Yeah, I'd say so. Thorniley. I think Thorniley's key if he's out. No chance. Could stick Conley in, perhaps, I suppose. Right, into midfield then. Are we sticking with a 4-3-3?
I don't think you can change it after the results we've got with it, can you?
No. Tribal, do we drop him in or not?
I would.
I think it's time to be bold. I think you've got to take risks now. There's no point
I'd
playing within yourselves.
I'd stick him in. Give us a bit of a screen that the others can attack from, yeah.
I'd give him 60 minutes and then bring Connolly in maybe after that. Nick?
Yes, I wouldn't disagree if he's fit enough to start.
Who are we playing him with? Tommy.
Fiorini.
Yeah.
And
well, I'm going Patino, I think.
I think Patino and Fiorini play well together, and I think if you're going to have sort of top tribal screening and then the two in front doing the work, I think like when we've got the ball, those two probably play well together. And although, like, you're going to have to throw Carey on at some point, aren't you?
Well, I think Carey's been very disappointing personally in the last few games, and maybe that's why I would take the risk on Tribal, and I think Dobby will as well. I think Dobby will play Tribal because I think he has looked a little bit of a weak link for me, and
he's not kicked on this season, has he?
No, he's been in and out a bit, I suppose, but he has played plenty of game time, you know. But no, I just not seeing it at the moment, and I think he's played because we've needed him to play because we've not really had anybody else. But I think it would be a mistake not to play Tribal in this one.
I don't. I think if we're really struggling up front and Jerry can't play, and we're Poveda down, and it's not probably the worst option putting Carey up front. If we're really struggling, then that might be worth doing. Because it's hard work in it, trying to find with 4 strikers injured and maybe Poveda.
I wouldn't put him up there, Andy.
No, I'm just saying when we've got nothing else, we're struggling.
I'd rather see Brad Holmes up there. Anyone got any news on Poveda then? Has anything come out from the club?
Well, it's interesting. John, our Birmingham fan, said when he went off, he didn't look injured, and he was giving the manager crap for taking him off. But I don't know. He looked like he was carrying a bit of a knock to me. He seemed to be holding his leg.
Maybe a precaution then, perhaps.
Well, I'm hoping it's a tweak, and they brought him off as a precaution so he doesn't get worse.
Are we going to assume let's assume he's fit then.
I think if he's fit, he plays, doesn't he?
What about Jerry?
Well, obviously, if he's fit, he plays.
Yeah.
I think we've got to assume they're all fit, unless we know they're not, aren't we?
Yeah. Okay. So let's assume that Yates and Poveda are fit then. Who are we playing?
Yates
Rogers had a very good game.
Rogers going to start on the left hand side of that 3, isn't he?
Are we assuming Keshi's injured?
I don't think he's going to play, is he?
That looked a similar injury to the one Patino got at QPR, if you remember.
Mark GT's just said I thought he was in tears when he went off, frustrated. Poveda. We don't know anything, do we? We never get any news.
No.
Daz McKenzie lines up front.
He's probably not a bad shout. I mean, he's probably one of the best finishers, isn't he, from what we've seen? We've got to have Yates in, haven't we?
Yeah. And I think you've got to play Bowler, haven't you? You've just got to. He's just...
I wouldn't. It's been garbage.
I just think...
he's
Poveda, he's fit.
Poveda plays if he's fit.
He's worked some great positions, Bowler, and he's finishing, his shooting is just woeful.
Oh, yeah. That one on Saturday when he cut inside, as Chizzy called it, that trademark. remember Chizzy. I had to laugh at Chizzy. He was mixing up Poveda and Patino on Saturday. I thought, Jesus Christ. But he was right when he said that it was like trademark bowler until he hit it, and then it was like ballooned over the bar, you know. Farini's done a few of those as well, hasn't he? Where he's like he's what do you call it? You know, doing the Avit with some of his massively overhit shots recently. But yeah, bowler just doesn't seem to know where the target is at all.
It's a tough one.
It is a massively tough one. But
I'm to the view that, like, as I said many times, you've got to be brave and like he will run at players, and we have to have people who can carry us up the pitch.
He has got that bit of magic. He's got that potential for a bit of magic, hasn't he, Andy? Just to create something from nothing.
You have to have those players.
We keep saying that though, don't we? And it's not. And don't get me wrong, I'd love nothing more than him, you know, going on a run and sticking it in the back of the net. But we're kind of running out of games, and we keep saying maybe this game, maybe this game.
When he sticks one in the top corner in the 4th minute, you'll all be saying thanks, Gricey. Oh, what a great silly.
Or he comes off the bench fired up.
Could do, like he did against was it Huddersfield?
Huddersfield.
He does have a reaction when he's benched, doesn't he? Yeah. But we don't know with Poveda, do we? We don't know if he's fit or not.
No, but I think if we don't know if Yates is either. We've put him in, haven't we? So personally, I would probably go Poveda.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, 3-1. I'm afraid, Andy. In he goes. All right. Grimmy Lyons, Thorniley, Nelson, Gabriel, Tribal, Patino, Fiorini, Poveda, Yates, and Rodgers. Decent team, that. Are we going to win the game, gents? Gives you predictions.
Of course.
Raggy Aid, yes, we are.
Score?
2-1, Pool.
Tim?
2-1 Millwall.
He's always right. He's always right. No. I'm going to go 2-1 to Millwall as well, because Tim's always right. Andy?
4-1. We're going to score in the first 5 minutes. We'll follow it up with a second. We'll be 3-0 up at half time. Millwall will know what day it is. They'll come out fired up second half. They'll get one. They'll think they're on a comeback. They will push out from the back, looking and leave a whole space behind, and we'll get a 4th, and that'll be it. Thanks very much.
He's OD'd on reggae, doesn't he?
Yeah,
he's OD'd. He's had too much.
Well, let's leave on a positive. Come on.
Only the 4-1, lads. Only the 4-1.
Yeah, we're not leaving yet, Nick. I'm afraid there's a few other bits to catch up on.
Nick's news, it should be, shouldn't it? Where's Nick's news?
Yeah.
I've not read the script.
Yeah, Nick's news. Well, it's John's news, actually, because I've made a few things up. No, I haven't made them up. Blackpool ladies, Spot Salty. I know his daughter plays for the team. Thought we'd give him a big up to the ladies who beat the Nobbers to win promotion to the Northwest Premier League. So well done, ladies. Great achievement, particularly beating those bastards. So well done. I think a bit more could be done to promote these sort of events. It's weirdly at Thornton, some weirdly named ground that I've never heard of, near Norcross. So I'd probably nipped down and watched if I'd known about it. So I think the club needs to give it a bit more of a bump.
Yeah, it's a great way to win it as well, isn't it? On against them lot. So well done, excellent stuff. Yeah.
Next piece of news: Brett Geraghty, Tim, left the board. I think the wrong board member has left the board. It's quite a bit of a shame, really. And I know Brett was instrumental behind the Tangerine teammates, obviously being involved in grassroots as I am. I thought it was a brilliant initiative. And so thanks, Brett, to that. Thanks for everything he's done.
Bit of a surprise, really. Bit of a surprise, because obviously him and Simon go back a long way. But if I'm going to try and rationalise it, and because effectively Brett does what pretty much what I was doing before him. You put a lot of effort in, and I think I've said it on the before here. It's like doing two jobs, and 4 months that I did it for, it put a strain. You lose your family life, you lose your social life, and I had it when it was on a crest of a wave. I had the job when it was a crest of a wave, so it was brilliant, and I'd never have not done it. But I don't know whether I'd have wanted to carry on doing it for as long as he has. And I think the other thing is when things start to go wrong, you can't go anywhere without somebody giving you their 2 penneth worth. It's on everywhere you go on social media. We've all seen, all this, get rid of a lot of them posts on AVFTT and whatever, which I know they read avidly. And if you go in the pub, somebody collars you and they've always know best. And I think I know how much effort he puts in, and every credit to him for doing it. But I can see your life balance goes completely out of the kilt, and you end up doing stuff you don't want to be doing. And when you're doing your day job as well, it's unrelenting. It's literally.
Well, it's not even his job, is it? It's not his full-time job.
No, he works for the CPS, and he's got a very demanded job in the CPS as well. So he'll be working flexi time. I'm guessing flexi time in there to go to various meetings at the club during the day, and he'll go to the club in the evening. I would rarely get in before 10 o'clock, and I would be generally out the house at 7. And I've been working Sundays to try and catch up with my day job. And 4 months, I wouldn't say I was at breaking point because it wasn't, but it was. There was no. You never took your foot off the pedal. And at the end of the day, you're a football fan. You want to enjoy going to the game. You want to enjoy everything about it. And I could sort of see why he did what he did, but it is a shame because I think the club's poorer for not having somebody like Brett doing what he's doing. And that, you mentioned the Tangerine buddy things, teammates. BST, he was, a lot of communication going on between him and Ben Mansford and BST that, might obviously hopefully isn't interrupted, but him not being there now, things we were working on, discussions we were having, all of a sudden you might go back a step. So I hope he's hope he's going to be up for watching Blackpool on Friday night, and that he really he'll get back to enjoying watching his football, which is what we're all doing for at the end of the day, isn't it?
Yeah, I think
so. But listen, he's put in thousands of hours over the last 4 years, so every credit to him.
Yeah,
I think what Tim's alluding to there. I mean, obviously, I went in very similar time to Tim, straight after the initial administration as such, and it was it is tough. You see how much there is to do and how much there is to think about, but don't forget Brett lives locally. Simon Sadler doesn't, and so Brett will take it, even if he wants to take his missus out for a night out or for a meal or a drink or whatever. He's just going to get it all the time, and there isn't any switching off from it at all. And Simon Sadler can go. Where does he live? Oxford now, isn't he? I think. So he can just go out. He can take his missus out for a meal, and no one knows him from Adam. And so he doesn't get that same sort of whole interaction. And apparently he's quite, even as a mate. I from what I understand, Sadler's really difficult to work for, and because he's wants to know everything about everybody and things like that. So it must have been tough for Brett, and it was okay while it was going okay, but now we've had a bump in the road, or a big bump in the road, really, haven't we, with some pretty average appointments. I think he's started to feel it now himself, and as Tim said, he's got a job, and this club stuff's for nothing. And let's be fair, he should be congratulated on on what all the things that he's done right. Let's leave it at that, draw a line, and hopefully, like you said, Tim said there, like he can come back to being a fan and sit with us and enjoy football from now on in.
Anything to add, Nick? Wrong person left, perhaps. Wrong left the board, perhaps.
Yeah, I mean, I'd echo what the guys have said. Like Tim said, he was doing it at a time when things were going well, and that was hard. So I can only imagine how difficult it is. And if he'll see social media, and there'll be people saying stuff, won't there? And you can't respond to it, can you? And it must be, that must be really difficult. There's probably things he wants to say, but you can't go getting in a row with someone on Twitter or the AVFTT or whatever. So, and the amount of hours he would have had to put in as well. Every credit to him for doing it for as long as he has. And I think all fair-minded Blackpool fans would have nothing but good things to say about him and wish him all the best and thank him for all his effort.
Absolutely. Yeah, thanks a lot for all you did, Brett. I think you got a bit of a shitty end of the stick at the end. So, yeah. Daft as it seems, Tim, being a manager of a kids team, you're always thinking about things, aren't you? You're sleeping. Yeah. You're thinking about teams on your mind, and obviously that's minute in comparison to what it must be like running or be on the board of directors at a championship football club.
And I'm to hire and fire people. I'm going to specifics, but I think I know he's been involved in that, and never pleasant at the best of times. I had to deal with some disciplinaries while I was in there, so it's not all about the nice stuff. You've got to deal with the crap, put it bluntly, and you take things to heart. I still take things to heart now with anything I'm involved in. Management wise, but when I see criticism, even now, if I see criticism of the stuff the interim board did, it still riles me now 4 years later.
I've still got me fielding out banner above the wardrobe.
You do, when people start saying, "Oh, the interim board, this interim board did that," and it's there. I'm thinking, and it does, and that's like with the benefit of distance, it's a difficult tightrope to walk along. And particularly, you go into the thatched house or whatever, as Brett does sometimes on a Friday, Saturday night. You got your back slapping when everything was going great, but there'll be the same people who half of them are idiots. Will call you fit to burn, and they've got no shame. They'll do it right in front of your missus. They'll do it in front of your mates. They'll give you what for, and it's not pleasant sometimes.
Did he even draw a salary? He certainly wasn't on 350 grand a year like someone else.
I think he got only because I've seen something. Listen, I shouldn't take anything off AVFTT, but I think there's some suggestion that he got a nominal amount as like a very small salary. But obviously, bearing in mind, he wouldn't even have been getting national minimum wage for the hours he's putting in.
And I think what people don't understand, Tim, is what it was like when the Oystons left. Exactly what it was like inside the club and all the things that we had to deal with. Like it really was rubbish, wasn't it? It was just
and listen, and they've taken up what we were doing and moved on, sorting it all out, and there was so much to sort, and we fire fought at the beginning, and then they've had to put all these procedures and positions in place, the structures in place that make us sort of like now a proper football club. It's not perfect, but it's a 10-year turnaround job to get it done right. That's why the training ground's not right, and East isn't right, and the reception areas aren't right. There's loads not right, but you can do so much. But there's always something else to do, isn't there? Because there was 10 years of neglect.
The infrastructure was appalling. It really was appalling. It's just like, you're walking into kitchens that you've got to use in 2 weeks' time and condemned equipment. And it's just like, where do I start here? I haven't got the money to spend. And it's just like, but you really want people to come and watch your team. And you want to sell out the hospitality lounge for 350 seats and sell all the boxes and sell all the other lounge. But you you've hardly got the capability to cook anything on, and it literally was that bad when we were walking in, and that was just the nitty gritty of hospitality, and then Tim had hundreds of things to deal with, like from infrastructure of everything else. It was just amazing what there was, but that's for another day.
Did you sort out the sausage rolls, Tim?
Well, I don't think we had sausage rolls back then.
Getting started on them.
I've just come in from work, of course, and actually Wayne's noticed I'm a bit knackered. I've done a 13-hour day. Look what I've got, and I'm not eating it yet.
Roll.
That's from Singleton Lodge. That's very nice, but I'm not eating it because I didn't want to be unprofessional on.
It's not, you normally eat cheese and biscuits live on the stream, don't you, Tim?
Yeah.
Yeah, Wayne. He has been burning the candle at both ends. I've been sending a message saying, "Where the f are you?" I'm still at work, so all these Michael Portillo holidays have to pay for themselves, don't they, Tim?
Well, this is it. If I'm going to keep buying my red pants for my foreign jaunts, I've got to put the hours in.
Well, you need a
bit of culture when we go to Norwich, Tim, because I don't want to spend 4 days
I'll
in
be
the pub.
organising a cultural tour.
I'll be involved in a Roman foot or a Victorian folly.
a cracking owl sanctuary in Spixworth, isn't it?
Yes, one Stanton Spice Museum.
The gags are endless. Let's hope we've got something to play for when we get to Norwich anyway. So we will be coming back after the Millwall game. We'll be in a very good mood or an extremely somber mood. But either way, let's hope the boys really give it a good go.
400 tickets left for Friday. Get them sold.
Not many tickets left. Okay, so thanks for your company this evening, gents. It's been a pleasure. As always, do like and subscribe to the channel if you're watching on YouTube. And all that remains to be said is thanks for watching, thanks for downloading, and come on the pool. Let's beat these.
Come on the pool.
Come on the pool.